I was born as a child of immigrants in America, and my parents were from Europe, so I never felt American, but I also didn't feel European. So I asked myself at a very early age, who am I? What am I? And I began asking, who am I? And it took me 50 years to figure out I'm a global citizen. Well, very early in my life, I learned about nations making war with each other. And very early on in my life, I learned about minorities being killed. In World War II, it was Jews. In Asia, it was Japanese killing Chinese, or, Japanese discriminating against Koreans, or in America, it was Americans discriminating against Japanese. So all of this violence and conflict. And when I looked at why, it was because of national identity and ethnic identity. So I said to myself, why do we need these identities that simply cause conflict and war? Why do we need them? And that made me interested in the concept of global citizen, or citizenship that crosses borders, as opposed to citizenship that's inside borders. How expanding your identity makes you richer, stronger, and wiser, and builds a better world. So I addressed this fact because I find Americans to be very selfish and very competitive. And I said, I don't want them to think that being a global citizen means that you're just doing it for the world. You're also doing it because I think it's going to make you safer, stronger, and wiser. Okay, safer, stronger, and wiser. Why safer? Because even if you think you have an enemy, the better you understand that enemy, the safer you are. Why stronger? Because when you understand the world, you can make friends with people around the world. That makes you stronger. And wiser, if you really understand the world, you are actually able to increase your wisdom and become a more intelligent person. I'm going to become more intelligent because I met you. I'm going to become more intelligent because I'm spending time with Koreans who are teaching me about the world. Well, the best analogy I have is food. If you like only one kind of Korean food, and you want to eat that Korean food 365 days a year, fine, just eat Korean food. But sometimes, would you like to have a little Thai food? Would you like to have a hamburger? Would you like to have a little bit of French food? Would you like to have a little bit of Spanish or Mexican food? Would you like to have a little bit of sushi, or a little bit of guacamole? Or would you like to eat Chinese food tonight? In other words, most people would say, oh, I want variety. When it comes to food, I would like variety. So I would ask people who are afraid of other cultures, if you like the food, why don't you like the people who make the food? If you want to eat the food, maybe you would like to actually talk to the people who make it. And for me, it's the same spirit. The question is, does that person who's different from you have a gift for you, or do they represent a danger for you? And I think with every relationship we have a choice. That person can be a danger, or that person can have a gift. And what my experience is that almost everyone I meet has a gift. And if you can see the gift, the danger disappears. I think for me the most satisfying role I've ever played was bringing together African doctors with Western doctors around the question of AIDS. Because we were giving all of this money, the Gates Foundation, all these the United Nations were giving all this money to Africa to help people dying with AIDS. But they were giving Western medicines to African people. And many of the African doctors didn't like the Western medicines. They felt they had their own medicines. So the money that was being spent much of it was being wasted. So by bringing the African doctors together with the Western doctors, they could begin to communicate. And what they learned was the Western doctors learned that the Africans had some good methods for dealing with AIDS. And the African doctors started to learn more about the Western medicines. And together they came together and created a better medical approach to working with AIDS. And I felt like this meeting, which I facilitated, I felt like it may have saved many lives of people who would otherwise have had been lost between the African and the Western approach.